listener production.
The creators of this podcast would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which it is recorded. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are the first storytellers of this land. We pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, as well as any Indigenous people who may be listening today.
Something just happened.
Evan, relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil and hello, and thank you for watching this episode. Can I just run you through what just happened? So we've got a special guest on the show
in the
today.
wings.
We will reveal who the special guest is. Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who listened to last week's episode.
They're not that special.
It's a part two.
we have a guest.
Very special.
Well, okay.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
And a member of our extended family has popped back in. One of our most popular series regulars has come in to conclude a storyline. So, I think that's very exciting. We've got him in the wings. We're ready to go. We had a slight conversation just before this show started. You basically said, Charlie, can we trust this guest? His microphone's up. He's ready to go. Can we trust him to just not say anything during the start of this show? I personally thought we could trust him. He's a trustworthy guy. He's a media professional. He works on film sets, TV sets. He's been in voiceovers, radio studios. This is a guy who understands a hot microphone, how media work, what you're meant to be doing in this situation, right? He's a professional. But you, Charlie Clausen, from your high horse of being one of podcasts originators, one of podcasting's greats, one of the guys who knows that people can't keep their yap shut, you've decided we're going to mute him. We can't have him on this podcast. And then you've punctuated that mutation.
The mutation? Don't think you've used that word correctly, but continue.
No, when you mute someone, that is called a mutation. Yeah. Well, you have punctuated that mutation by, I can only describe it, almost headbutting your microphone out of the way.
No, I tried to adjust my mic position, and I clumsily, with my my fat-fingered, large-palmed hands, like a caveman saying something he doesn't like, I thumped the microphone like this.
You poured
I'll reenact it. It went like this. That's what happened. I swatted my microphone out of the way because I felt like we couldn't trust Alex Williams with his microphone, but his mic is hot now. Alex, welcome back to TOFOP.
Thanks for having me back. As always, a professional.
Now, for people who listened last week, we had a big discussion around the Donut King party that Alex, because he's one of Australia's most revered entertainers, was invited to. Wil and I didn't get an invite to the Donut King party, despite having given them, 5 weeks of free publicity? Where was our fucking invite, Donut King? Why aren't we invited to the court of the Donut King?
Well, I think, Charlie, we might have stumbled upon something, because I would say, firstly, if this is anyone's first episode of the show, go back 1 week and listen to last week's, because this is the conclusion of what was set up last week. But I think we've finally found the floor. Charlie and I have been enjoying this year the comfort of recording TOFOP a couple of weeks in advance so that we always have 1 or 2 up our sleeve. So if life gets a little hectic for whatever reason, there isn't the pressure on to do the show. But I think we may have finally stumbled upon the flaw in that system, Charlie, because if we were doing these episodes in real time after the heat of last week's episode, there is no way that we wouldn't have been invited to this Donut King party.
So I've got some visual materials to share with you, Wil. We charged Alex with some tasks when he got to the Donut King party, and one was to snap some photos. So Alex has very kindly submitted these photos from the course of the evening. So the first one is the invitation, which he sent to me, which now I responded to Alex when he sent me this and was like, that is a very penile looking invite. Have I just been working with James Fosdyke too long, or do you look at that pink, wrinkly Donut King key? I mean, I assume it's from D key and see a dick and balls.
So I think it's quite important for the people who are not watching this, Charlie, that we describe what we're actually talking about at the moment before you leap into the idea that it's a giant dick and balls. I know that's very on brand for TOFOP, but we haven't given them any picture of what it is we're looking at before you've just gone, does this look like a dick and balls? So, Alex, maybe Alex can describe to us, where did you get this key? Was this the invitation that came out to you? So describe what we're looking at.
Yeah, so this is the invite that they sent out to us, and it is a large sort of
cock and balls.
It's a no. It's very
Charlie.
clearly,
I mean, we'll get to the cock and balls, but it's a giant.
It's
pink
a big,
key.
big pink.
It is
key.
a key.
A key to the city.
Donut Kingdom.
Yes, to the house.
Exactly,
to the Donut
right?
King house warming. I think is the idea.
Yeah, I think it was the key you were meant to put in the bowl at the end of the Donut King night, I believe might be what is happening here.
Now, do you think, like, considering what the branding of Donut King is, sorry, not the branding, but like, does a key make you think of like a royal court? Like, wouldn't sort of like I'd be thinking more of I don't know, like a crown or something like that. The invite should have been printed on a crown rather than a key.
Look, I think it was on brand for the event because they really went with this like, it's Donut King's housewarming, rather than being on
city.
A sort of royal kind of path. They've gone away from that, which I think is a massive mistake.
Yeah, it's the inner west. They're moving back in. This is like a share house party. Everyone's got a key. This is like a real inner west vibe, right? Like, there's probably, what I will say now that we're on the cock and balls of this giant key, because it is pink, and you can see, Charlie, why you immediately went to the fact that it does look like a giant cock and ball. Well, yes, you can, particularly if you look at those, like the cinnamon donuts that are featured up the top in the round part. But because they haven't shown the whole donut, they're just cut off by the roundness of what would be the testicles. They look like stray pubes.
Yeah, stray pubes.
They look like stray Cinny pubes up the top there with this Donut King. I mean, not quite as jagged as your average penis.
And by the way, I should say for the listeners out there, we'll put all these up on our socials so everyone can, as they're listening to this episode, you can just go back to our socials and just check in as we talk about it. But even the indentations of the key look like a wrinkled foreskin to me. Like, and the way that the key ends, the peak of it is in like a cone, like a helmet shape, I would say. And
there's definitely a helmet.
Like, I mean, definitely we've been working with James
now I'm starting to see it, all right? For a long time, I was just kind of going, geez, every time Charlie opens his front door, he must be, I'm holding a little cock here. And now I'm going, oh yeah, I can kind of see that now.
Okay, so this was the hard invite that was sent out to you. And as we discussed last week, like, it's very unusual these days that anyone sends a hard invitation. So you had to RSVP to an email, and then they sent you this hard invite. Now, my understanding of the reason why you need like a paper invite is it's to stop people just sort of passing around or transferring invitations. Do you think that was it a security measure?
No, it was someone printed them and then realised that they didn't need them and they really wanted to send them out. They were not required on the night. Okay. It was just a normal guest list like any other party, but they seemed very
You didn't even need the key?
No, I didn't need the key. Very insistent.
Did you?
That,
did you take your key? Like,
no.
So that's the bigger question.
Once I got it,
you didn't take
I got
with
it
you.
sent to my agent, and then I went and picked it up from them. And I was like, oh, I didn't need to do this. This was a waste of time.
Oh, you had to go to your agent to pick up the key.
Well, they asked for my home address, and I was like, I don't want the king knowing where I live.
No, you don't.
Yeah, right.
The king's sending out keys willy-nilly.
Exactly. He's sending out dicks to everyone. It's weird.
At your joint.
Okay, so there is a little inscription on the key. It says home of the hot cinnamon donut. So we know.
So home. So I think the home and house, there's a bit of a play on this. It's like, welcome to the home of the hot cinnamon donut.
And I reckon this is the only place that they actually say cinnamon, not Cinny,
Cinny, right.
Cinny, they're really pushing the hot Cinny.
They're trying to make Cinny happen.
Right.
They really are.
As we discussed last week, I just don't think we'll. Okay, so let's go to the next photo. Now, before Alex, you describe Will, what do you think you're looking at?
Vomit?
Yeah, it looks like.
Is it vomit in cups? Is it cups full of vomit? Did you go to this party and there were cocktail glasses filled with vomit? Because that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah. There were coops full of vomit.
It's like that old school. Didn't the ancient Romans wasn't like a part of like a debaucherous thing is to go to a vomitarium, like you fill yourself with food and then you like all vomit together. It was like some kind of a party thing to do.
I believe they were called vomitoriums, and I believe that's not what happened at them, and that's one of those things that is.
You can see how people thought that, though.
I know the name is misleading. So, what are these? They're cocktails. They're donut cocktails.
So
of some
this is
kind,
their signature cocktail. So this is what greeted us. Once we walked down this alleyway in Alexandria, very dark
actually,
alleyway.
So before we get to that, describe the approach. So,
we should set the scene a little bit more.
We got out of the car. We're in Alexandria, which is very warehousey and whatnot. And we walked down this alley. There's this woman at the end of this alley wearing sort of a pink jacket. We're like, well, we're in the right place, right? Okay. So she's in the right wear. So we walk down this alley, and it's like a dark, alley in the inner west, but filled with influences with bright dresses and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. And then at the end of the alley is just this door with pink light sort of emanating out of it. So we knew we were in the right spot. So then we get to the door.
Much like a brothel. It sort of sounds like a dark alley, like a red light in the doorway.
Donuts. Yeah, exactly.
Round, hot, warm things you can.
All right, so we get to the front door and, you get your name checked off, and then there are these cocktails, and they are. Last year, I had a look and saw what and I kind of thought, they'll do like a coffee espresso martini type thing, surely, right? That's usually the go. But they went with a Cinny colada.
Oh.
Which,
Will's gagging.
There's actually going to be some vomit, I believe.
If you can't see it, if you look up the photo, it's sort of got cinnamon sprinkled over the top of, let's say a vomit color. And then a mini donut, cinnamon donut, sort of draped in half in the drink, half out of the.
It looks like a prawn. It looks more like a prawn cocktail. Like it looks like a little prawn cocktail.
What's in a pina? I'm just looking at pina colada regular.
Yeah, so this was very rum heavy. Okay. So it would have been rum, cream,
coconut,
cinnamon.
Coconut
I did ask,
milk.
Oh my god!
Pineapple juice. So a pina colada is rum, cream of coconut or coconut milk, pineapple juice, served with blended or shaken ice. Okay, so that sounds fucking disgusting as it should be served, let alone like this island of Dr. Moreau fucking cinnamon donut mashup pina colada.
And what were they? They were called Cinny coladas or Cinna coladas?
Cinny coladas. Yeah.
Yes. So they're really Cinny coladas.
Yeah.
Have they got somebody to cover that old pina colada song? Was there somebody playing "Do You Like Cinny Coladas" and taking walks in the rain, or have they missed an opportunity?
No, I will say this: they missed a lot of opportunities.
Okay,
and we'll get to that. But I drank mine. My girlfriend said that it was borderline undrinkable. And took 2 sips and just had a sparkling wine instead. But I was committed.
But you're like, you know what? I played Shane Warne, mate. And what would Shane Warne do in this situation? Shane Warne would bloody love a Cinny colada.
Did you dip the donut in the Cinny and eat it first?
Well, it was already half in it. So it had been soaking. It had been soaking up that Cinny.
So it's just all soggy and like I don't know what you guys are like. I hate it when I dunk a biscuit in coffee or tea and it breaks off and then you get to the end of the tea.
Oh, because then the biscuit's in the coffee, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it makes me feel so sick when you find that your crumbled, melted biscuit in the bottom of your cup.
What if you're drinking your Cinny colada and there's a floating bit of random Cinny just floating around in there? How does that make you feel? Some soggy Cinny.
Soggy Cinny.
That's what you do at the end of the night when you'll hand in your keys, you play a little game of Soggy Cinny just to finish off the night.
The other thing I will say is when we walked through the door, on one side was the Cinny coladas and on the other side was a server with a big kind of, those things they walk around baseball games going like hot dog, like that kind of vibe. But just a mountain of hot cinnamon donuts. I will say that throughout the night, the hot cinnamon donuts were flowing. I don't know where they were coming from or if there was just a big kind of like commercial sized microwave in the back that they just kept reheating them, but they kept them hot. I will say that.
That's amazing. And so we speculated last week that, there'll be donut-themed hors d'oeuvres. Like, how are they going to adapt donuts? So what kind of, donut treats were you presented?
None. No, this is what I'm saying. They missed a lot of shots. Like it was
Really?
just arancini
donut
balls.
hors
Your
d'oeuvres.
classic arancini balls. You had you had
Did the arancini
these little
balls
beef
at least have
things.
jam inside them? What's going on?
No.
Yeah, were they covered in cinnamon or
No.
something? Like were they? What they weren't called arancini?
No.
I mean, it's right there in front of you.
It's just the pronunciation. You never have to change the spelling.
Like this is the easiest one. You've literally missed. Arancini look like donut balls. It's so easy to do a play on arancini. What are you thinking, donut?
They had
That
like a
is
beef
hilarious.
kind of thing. Like they did have kind of like hot dogs, like little mini hot dogs, Frankers, which I think is kind of. Do they do that, or is that
I think
Wendy's?
Feels
No,
like
I think they
a
do.
Wendy's
I think
operation.
at least at one iteration of Donut King, they definitely were hot dog vendors as well. But I don't know if this rebrand that hot dogs are a part of the setup. Okay, can I ask also about the influences? Did you recognize anyone there? Was there? I mean, I'm not a big reality TV viewer, but I imagine there could have been some maths or something.
Oh no,
roaming around.
Absolutely blanked everyone. Not a,
You didn't
not a,
recognize.
not
What
a
about
clue.
what about you're an AFL fan? Did you see any were there any Giants or Swans in attendance?
No. It was very. I will say. So when we walked in the door, the whole kind of theme, the way it was set out, was it's an empty white warehouse, right? And then they'd built the house, the Donut King house, which was the idea of the housewarming. So they had like a bed with the Donut King. Everything was just pink, right? So a bed with, you could sit on that, take photos. Then there was like a bathtub filled with colourful, those
Donuts.
colourful play balls kind of things.
Why wasn't it filled with donuts?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
as I'm saying,
Missing
they
a lot of
they missed a lot. And then
opportunities.
on the other side was like a kitchen and a living room where you could like pretend to bake donuts, I guess.
What?
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 Look, the
Sorry?
influencers were going for it. They were doing their own little cooking shows.
What
and
do you
setting up.
mean a kitchen that like Iona has a cubby house and there's a pretend
Think
kitchen
of that,
in
but
there.
upscale, like scaled to a normal human. It was like
So
a
like a
child's
TV
play.
set.
This feels like a dollhouse, right? This is, I mean, I guess this is what it is for influencers, because I've even seen these venues like pop up around Australia now. I know there's one in Newcastle. I can't remember the other place I saw one, but they're specifically places where you go in and it's like a room, like a nightclub basically, and there'd be like 8-10 booths that all have different themes. So like one set up like, hey, we're in Vegas and it's all like money, and they're literally for influencers or people out
To
on
get their
Saturday
Instagram.
night to go out and have their Instagrams with their friends,
Right.
and they've got like 8 different locations within this one building. So I think this clearly sounds to me like the advertising company, the king and the advertising company have sat down in the royal court and they've just like, we want to get like influencers to take cool photos of this like inner west house that like, and I feel like subtly they know the Barbie movie's about to come out. And if there's another product that owns pink, right? Like it's Barbie. And it's another product that owns dolls' houses. It's Barbie, right? So this feels to me like the king going, you know what? Barbie's about to own pink and houses for the next 12 months. We're going to get
There
in
was an
early.
influencer there on like roller skates and like bright silver pants and like glow up kind of light up roller skates, sort of singing around and eating donuts and taking pictures, which I thought was something.
Was that influencer on the payroll of the king or just I'm going to
Yes,
turn up?
I went on their page
payroll
and
of the
she
king.
does sort of influencing.
So
for them.
theoretically, modern day court jester for the king. Would you say?
I'd say it's a stretch. Anyway, so we walked in and we sort of, I was sipping on my Cinny colada, loving it. And I saw this and I was sort of
Forcing it
thinking,
down.
okay, well, I've got to get some information. So I saw that woman with the pink jacket again. And I went, all right, I'll go and chat to her and sort of try and figure out what the theme was going on. And also keeping in mind that I was on the lookout for some merch for you, Charlie.
There.
And so I went and talked to her and I was just sort of like, oh, this is great, great setup. What's the idea? And she was like, it's the Donut King's house. It's the house of the Cinny Donut. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And I was like, so is this part of like the assault on Sydney, is this going to be a shop, or, are you guys coming in, bringing a bunch of, prior thoughts that made no sense to her. And she was like, no. And then she was just like, yeah, it's just, take photos and get up. And then the host got up, this guy with long hair.
Oh, there was a host.
And he started talking.
Now, did you get the impression, as a fellow professional presenter who's done some hosting himself, did you get the impression this is like a ring-in host, or is this someone who's already in the employ of the king who they've boosted to hosting?
No, this feels like a ring-in for sure. But maybe one of his first gigs.
All right. Yeah. I'm picking up what you're laying down, Alex.
Anyway, so he gets up and he starts talking.
Everyone's got to start somewhere,
he starts talking and he's, very energetic. It's it's a good vibe. But then he stumbled and goes, the Donut King.
Oh,
he made the worst mistake.
The one you can't say, the other king. You can't mention the other king.
Oh my goodness, he'll be in the gallows. He'll be in the donut dungeon.
I remember I did a gig
bedroom.
I did a gig for Microsoft once where they said you can't say Google something, right? Like if you're making jokes, like you've got to say I binged it, which even to the people in the room employed by the Microsoft, when I said I binged something, they knew I was lying to them. But this guy, they would have told him backstage, I bet. The one thing is, if you could just not mention, like, the Donut King is the rightful king. The Burger King came in from the West. The Burger King is the king of the West.
That's it.
He's Hungry Jack's in Australia. If you could just not mention the Burger King, we do not recognize the king in this country. At the airport, you can recognize the king in the international zone of the airport, but nowhere else.
It's out of international jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did pretty well after that, and then Thelma Plum came on, and she was great. My sort of biggest gripe was that it was purely cinnamon donuts. There was no variation. There was no. I'm an iced donut.
It's too much
style kind of guy, and I was kind of looking for something a little bit different. But
I would have thought they would have had the entire menu on offer, the smorgasbord. I guess the thing is,
I mean, you're trying to feature
the Cinny.
The Cinny. But if there's only so many Cinnies that you can knock down. If you've knocked down a Cinny colada or two, and then you've had a couple of hot Cinnies going around, like at that point, you can't eat any more cinnamon donuts.
Really
but you might. There should be a room out the back or something. There should have been like a special room if you've gone up to Pink Lady and said, "Hey, I got my key. You got any iced alligator donuts out the back?"
Where are your stars? Is it weird though that the Donut King team Donut King, have chosen to feature the cinnamon donut? I would have thought is it's your bog standard donut. It's the absolute minimum of a donut. You just take the dough and roll it in sugar and cinnamon. Shouldn't you be featuring the dinosaur donut or the star donut or the alligator, just something that's a bit more unique that you can't get from Woolies for a 6-pack?
Maybe it outshines. Maybe that's the problem. They're just sort of sticking to their stock standard. It's this free Cinny donut day today, apparently. So maybe.
I mean, firstly, there'd be a cost effectiveness to it, but this is their standard, project. This is their stock ball. This is their money maker, right? This is what they take to the bank. But also, you're talking overheads of making a cinnamon donut, putting it through the machine, rolling it in some cinnamon, making it fresh, one ingredient basically, versus. You got to decorate the ice ones. There's more effort that's going into them. They probably have if you have to throw them away, you're losing more money on that. This is the product. If you can be moving hot Cinnies all day long, this is your money maker.
But I feel like they've lost, they left something on the table, because you could have another activation in the corner where people can, create their own kind of icing thing, or do sort of what you want is engagement with all these photographers taking videos.
I went to one of those places.
A big bowl of Smarties and a big bowl of icing and some blank donuts
Charlie,
to play
you just
with.
make a massive dick again, but
massive dick, of course.
Home of the cinnamon dick and balls.
There would just be a giant dick and balls and a circle around it with a line through it. That's for you, Charlie.
I went to a donut shop. I think it was in Amsterdam, which was build your own donut, where you literally could choose the type of dough you wanted, like whether you wanted that sort of heavier cinnamon donut dough or that lighter iced donut dough. You could ice it. You could put filling in it. It was amazing. I mean, look, clearly, in Europe, they're streets ahead of where Donut King, like most trends. Like Australia's 5 years behind. So maybe that's the next step for the Donut King is the activation where you get to build your own donut. I would
decorate a donut day. Like, I mean, I don't know
a triple
build from
D.
scratch.
I love a triple D.
So I don't. Yeah, building from scratch to me feels like that's too much, right? Like, the time but for a party like this. Alex is absolutely right. Like, you give people some blank donuts and some like icing sugar, like influencers coming out of a like back street in the inner west with like white powder all over their face that is actually icing sugar. It's like actually a very lovely
There was
night.
this one girl we saw like making content doing the like little fake oven thing, and she was kind of doing it, but she put like flour all over her nose. It's like this little cute thing. And I looked over, I was like, it's going to be one of these parties. Okay.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
Jeez, this is going to go on for a while. It's supposed to be 2 hours.
Go to the where's the nearest ATM?
Anyone else got any Cinny, if you know what I'm saying?
All right. I should also mention, the best way to kind of consume this episode is on Patreon, because you can watch along with Alex and Wil and I and see the photos as they come up. Alex, do you want to explain this next photo? What's going on here?
Yeah, that's me influencing.
Oh.
That's me influencing for the first time. Yeah, that's the Donut King bed. Let's just say that's where things go down.
That's where the holes get punched in the donuts. Is that what we're saying?
That's hail to the king, baby.
I was taking,
Do you know what this makes me think of? Will, you remember you telling me, isn't there somewhere in like a mining town in WA, isn't there like a brothel?
Kalgoorlie. Kalgoorlie, they have a brothel that has themed rooms, so you can do a tour of the brothel. It's like used to have in Kalgoorlie.
Fuck Shane Warne on a donut bed? That's what this photo is saying to me.
It is like you've gone room to room on your fantasy. The last one was like, some school scene or some like, like you're away
thing.
on holidays. Yeah, exactly. And then you come into this room and it's Warnie on a pink donut bed.
So let's just describe it for people who refuse to.
It's the best.
Refuse to go on social media or subscribe to our Patreon. So let's describe it. So
the work they've put into this, by the way, like this is the stylist, the designer, the person who's put the space together has actually put some thought and work into it more than the people who are doing the activation itself. It feels like. I feel like this is where the budget is going. So describe what's going on here.
Okay, so I'm sitting on. Oh, Charlie, do you want to describe it actually? Because I saw it.
We're going to keep handballing the description. Okay, so it's an all pink room, and it's Alex reclining back on this all pink bed. Behind him is a mural on the wall of a donut, a pink donut with Donut King emblazoned on it. There is a really ugly kind of wall lamp that is inside a donut just to the top right of Alex, which is weird that there's
possibly like a cartoon version of like a vulva / vagina and clitoris.
One that's covered in spots.
It feels like, it feels to me like somebody has like put a lamp into a clitoris to like guide the way. That's basically what it looks like.
And then there is a framed photo of multiple cinnamon donuts. I can't see the other photo. I'm assuming that's another donut in a frame there.
Yeah,
Alex,
it is.
Yeah.
So I can't tell those donuts in your typical bedroom scene. Do you imagine that they're like the equivalent of landscape photos, like, or whatever your art that someone might have on their wall if they're in like their bedroom? Or is that like maybe the kids? Like, is it pictures of the kids?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on there?
What you're asking, Will, is it a bachelor's bedroom or is it a family man's bedroom? Is it like a sexy, like Robert Minot photograph, or is it like the kids, wife and kids?
Yeah.
What
is that some sort of Helmut Newton operation going on up there? Or is this like really wholesome family scene of like, these are my donut relatives, I have them on the wall?
I think it's relatives.
What do you reckon?
I think it's relatives. I think it's the kids. I think it's the kids.
Okay.
And on the other side, there are also lots of photos of all sorts of donuts on the wall as well.
Okay. All right, yeah. So that's definitely.
You know what I like about donuts is how obsessed they are by donuts, right? Because I don't have a human pillow on my like. Do you mean like on my pillow on my bed? If I had a picture of my face, don't you think people would find that was weird? But whoever this donut, they're just like, there's donuts everywhere. It's like, come on, man. Like, it's nighttime. We're in bed. Can it not be about donuts right now? Is there any minute of your day where you're not obsessed with donuts?
I reckon I can't believe that they weren't able to find donut-shaped cushions. Like, what they've got is regular square cushions with donuts printed on top of them. Like, you could just go to your local chemist warehouse and get one of those inflatable donuts for people with hemorrhoids.
A hemorrhoid pillow. Donut hemorrhoid pillows.
That's what they should have done. Repurpose some hemorrhoid pillows and put them on the bed. Okay, so moving on from this photo. This is when, Alex, you must have been like, it was all worth it. They give you, what do you call it? Your goodie bag or your
often when you
home.
go, to these events, they give you a little memento at the end. It'll be a bag,
like
just
the Oscars.
Yeah, just like merch kind of
It's
stuff.
just like the Oscars.
Yeah, it's exactly like the $80,000 one you get at the Oscars. Yeah.
I think it's about $250,000 now. So I assume this is about $250,000
Went to the
worth of stuff
Oscars.
that the king has given you, right? This is the equivalent. Yeah. This is the Australian
So when
Oscars.
we walked out, I was still so before this, I was like, there's no merch. There's nothing to take or steal for Charlie as a memento. But I saw that the staff were wearing these pink shirts that said like had a donut on them and then like the hot Cinny on the back. And I was like, okay, well, I don't come to these things very often, so I'm going to get weird and ask for one. So I went and asked for one like from the server and they were like, oh, no, we don't have any. We just made as many as we needed. I was like, that's a lie. I've worked in events. And then
there's no doubt.
So I've gone and asked someone else and then we've been denied. I'm like, okay, let's get out of here.
Did you say, is this where you pulled out, do you know who I am? Did you bring that? Don't you know who I am?
Don't you know who I am? I could leak some very important secrets from
the answer to that is always no. But
don't you know who I played? Exactly. Don't you know who I pretended to be?
Yeah, more likely. It's much more likely. Anyway, so we go at the front and started the person sort of saying like, "Thanks for coming." We're like, "Oh, thanks," and they'll give us these boxes, and it's a huge. If you can't see it, it's a big. It looks massive. Shiny black box with a bow on the top, and I'm like, oh,
how big would that? Like, describe it. So is that about like what, half a meter across?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go quite. I'd say 30 centimeters. Okay. 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters.
It looks big though.
It's like
for people at home, it feels like the final scene of Seven.
Yeah,
like it's a decent sized box. There. Like there could be a head in the box.
I'll say that it's 2 hands. You know.
Yeah.
So she passes me the box. And me and my girlfriend are like, oh, great. You know, there'll be some.
What do you think's in there? Like, what?
Well, as soon as I grab it, I'm like, God, it's light.
Cinnamon donuts, I'd imagine.
Anyway, so I have a little peek in, and it's just inside this giant box. It's like one of those joke gifts. Is
what?
A tiny box,
the smallest pack of
cinnamon donuts
I've ever seen,
which is fine.
That is the most inefficient use of packaging.
What are you doing?
There's not even like those little
originally
styrofoam peanuts in there. It's just like...
this feels like a party where they had a couple of different ideas, and then the budget blew out in weird areas because I reckon the key was going to be a thing. There was a reason for the key at the start, but then they got them printed and they couldn't afford to do whatever it was they were going to do with the key. These big boxes, I think originally they were going to fill them with cinnamon donuts. This was the plan. And then they realized that the cardboard weight wouldn't sustain the amount of donuts that they were going to put in there. And then
Cinny coladas are a lot more expensive to produce than you realize.
Yeah. Like, King hasn't been collecting as many taxes this year. So it feels like one of those
Gary's
boxes
getting yelled at. It's like, Gary, the fucking vulva light. We told you it was going to be too expensive. You blew the budget.
Electricity's through the roof, mate. We can't sustain it. It feels like one of those boxes.
We should have gone for the hemorrhoid pillows. We could have saved a fortune.
It feels like one of those boxes that you fill, when people make nice gifts, they fill it with crepe paper. If there's negative space, you fill it with crepe paper or something like that. And that kind of, completes the look. But because it kind of is just sitting in the corner there and it's its own little box, it just kind of looked a bit sad. Anyway, I went, oh,
It's so sad looking.
It makes
I
no
can't
sense.
give this.
Like, just give people. There's already a box. There's a small box of donuts that you could just hand to people. Also, people who are about to walk out onto the street, like into the inner west, most of them probably don't live like nearby to take this giant novelty box home with it. Like the small box you could carry with you to wherever you're going, but the big box is just essentially, I think there's an old Mitch Hedberg joke about, like, you know, when somebody hands something like that to you where they're just saying, could you throw this away from me?
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like.
That's exactly what it is.
It's a very overpromise, underdeliver. Yeah, I kind of expected to open the next box and there'd be a tinier box in there, and then another box,
Like a Russian, Russian
babushka.
doll.
Babushka doll of Babushka King. If I would have been into that. Increasingly smaller donut boxes. That would have been fun.
Nah,
So,
just checked it. There's nothing. There's nothing in there.
Yeah, it's just weird that why wouldn't they just give you the box that the donuts are in? They give you a box to put your box of donuts in. It makes no sense. And I've just zoomed in because I noticed there was a little message from the Donut King in there.
Oh yeah,
Home of the hot cinnamon donut. Thank you for joining us at the home of the hot cinnamon donut to celebrate National Donut Day. This would have come out a couple of weeks after that. So happy Donut Day to those who celebrate. And then I can't read what it says, that little line there. But when sharing content from tonight on socials, would love you to tag. And then they give the Donut King's social
Now,
handle.
is there a little cool hashtag? Is it like Hot Cinny or something like that? Like, do you have to tag it with, or are they just saying, could you please tag?
I think
in
you'll
the
find
King?
these days that hashtags are out.
Are they?
Yeah, hashtags are out. They don't, because like TikTok it doesn't cut through anymore. So it's more just about tags, I think, these days.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a classic. That's me being old because I still hashtag things.
What's
all
your
the time.
bloody hashtag? What
How am I
is
supposed to
it?
bloody share
What
it?
hashtag are you putting under there?
Hey.
How are you meant to?
Hello, fellow teenagers. What's hashtagging?
Want to play a little game of hashtag, as I understand it?
I will say that
So,
post COVID and, going to one of these, I haven't been to one of these events for a while. I did feel like the oldest dude rocking up there by a fair margin. Yeah. It was
Right.
wasn't great.
And so,
Which is also why they probably wouldn't have invited us, Charlie.
that's a good point.
Anyway,
So
so
you and your girlfriend-
she passed me the
Yeah.
she passed me the box, and I kind of had a peek inside. I went, it's just donuts. I got nothing to give to Charlie still. So I talked to this woman. I was like, hey, I've got this friend. He's a massive fan of the King. And I'm really laying it on thick at this point. I didn't kind of go like, he's in hospital or anything. But I kind of was like, I'd love some merch. Is there any way we could get one of those shirts? And she was like, oh, no, we don't have any shirts. I was like, you're lying again. And then she was like, but if you send me your address, I'll send you one of those like corduroy hats with the Donut King across the top of it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So I got to email.
sure.
I do have to give the King my address this time. But
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah,
I'm
hopefully
happy
that'll
to
be
give
enough.
my address to the King. If you want to just like pass on the details to me or do an email introduction,
Yeah.
I'll take it from
Great.
there. I mean, I think they'll be shocked, if not delighted, to hear the amount of free publicity they've been
I mean,
getting.
I'm not sure they'd be wrapped with all the content, but if they were sponsors, they would have got a bigger say in that. But the truth of it is, we've just been going out on our own. But like a pink corduroy Donut King hat. I've got to be honest with you. Yeah, you could definitely rock that. You could, around the Northern Rivers, popping down to Byron Bay in your pink.
Not ironic enough would people be yelling at me as I wore that down the street. Not ironic enough. All right, Alex, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Like, we won't ask this of you all the time, but if there's any other investigative journalism tasks that come up, can we call you back in?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be your Sydney correspondent while you're not here.
That's it. You can be our Sydney correspondent, or would you be our Cinny correspondent?
Very good. Very good.
Yes. Can I also? We should. Do you know when your television program is
I do,
on?
but this won't be released for a little bit, right?
When is this being released?
It'll be the 25th and 26th of June. Be coming out.
Oh, that's soon.
It's really soon.
So yeah.
Yeah, great.
I saw the promo start playing, so I imagined that it must be coming up soon. So it's called Warnie. It is on Channel 9, I believe.
Can I just say the resemblance is uncanny, and I've known you for a while. And look, I was happy for you when you got cast, but I couldn't really see it. And then I saw like the first still they released, and I'm like, holy shit, it is like Gemma, who's only peripherally aware of Shane Warne, looked at it and thought it was Shane Warne. It's just an amazing job.
Yeah, the hard part was that we had it covers quite a lot of his life, and he looked really different in different eras. So we had to get 5 or 6 different looks and nail them down. And because he also gained weight, lost weight, famously, he talked about it. So I kind of had to find a weight, as you know, I'm not a big guy. And so I put on 7 or 8 kilos really quickly, and to try and get to a weight that sort of could be, chubbier or stronger, or could be later when he's got the tan and the a bit of Botox and all that kind of stuff.
Mum's diuretics.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was interesting. I was really happy with some of the photos that they've put out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where that people are going to be so judgmental, particularly of how it looks. And you look, I was the same as Charlie. When I saw the promo, I was like, oh, I never knew that Julian Assange and Shane Warne look so similar to each other.
I'm going to a lunch
what do
today.
they all have in common?
I'm going to a lunch today and Kirk's there, and I'm like, he's just going to be looking at me like, how did that happen? He's got black hair and a mustache. It's just like, it's a weird niche.
Probably also a good time, Will, to promote your new FOFOP project, Two Guys, One Urn.
Oh, yeah, true. While we're talking about cricket in particular, for anybody who enjoys watching the cricket over the next 2 months, some of this will already be up by the time people are hearing this, but there is the World Test Championship where Australia will have played India. That will have happened by the time people are probably hearing this. And then there will be the Ashes, which is going to be just an incredible run of Test match cricket if you happen to be interested in Test match cricket. And I am interested in Test match cricket. And more than that, Charlie, I'm interested in something we've discovered about our little AFL adjacent podcast, which is that if you have a project that is about a topic, it gives you just that personal permission to stay up all night watching cricket or football.
Well, it's a tax write-off now.
I did see it
tax
pop up
and
on my
personal
feed.
family write-off.
I did see it pop up on my feed this morning. I was like, yes, that's good. That's what I want. I want that little companion piece to watching the Ashes and World Test Championship.
Yeah, so Mark Howard of the Howie Games and I, my childhood friend Howie and I, we've been talking cricket with each other until we were 13 years old, and we talked cricket with each other for about an hour and 40, which is up in the TOFOP feed at the moment. So it'll be 7 episodes in total, different guests every week. And basically the way it rolls out is there'll be one before each test, after each test, which previews the next test. That's kind of how the schedule goes. So if you want to be interested in Test match cricket, Howie's an amazing guest for this podcast because I know this will have been a couple of weeks ago, but if people haven't heard it yet, if you think, I don't understand what's going on in the cricket, Howie has gone to the IPL in India and worked there. He's commentated cricket all over the world. He has a really good, simple way of explaining why things are interesting or important. So if you want to dip your toe into that, that would be cool.
It's a very good listen. Alex, thanks so much for joining the show. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks,
Au
guys.
revoir. Or as they say in the Donut Kingdom, I don't know, what do they say?
Really, you went into that really feeling
You didn't give
like
yourself much time there, mate.
yeah. Let's go nuts.
Enjoy your holy days.
Do not call me again.
Oh, no.
Cinny later. Anyway, get out of here, Alex.
Oh yeah, it would have to be Cinny related. Yeah. That's true. That's what they'd be trying to make happen, isn't it? Like Cinny later.
Yeah, Sin long. No, I can't. I've got nothing.
Cinny City. They should have gone with a Sin City kind of vibe. That would have been cool.
I mean, I agree with you, Alex. Like you're in Sydney, you're not doing a Cinny City sort of vibe. It's like it's a back alley. They should have given it a whole Roger Rogerson corrupt
like
New South
King's Cross in the late 90s kind of vibe.
I wanted that
underbelly
a
style
really
theme,
weird
you
kind
know?
of entrance where there's like bells and it's kind of, very kind of medieval, and you get knighted by the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Like I wanted that kind of like make it weird, make it
Game of
contenty.
Thrones,
Court
but
of
with
the King.
donuts.
Lean in.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
get to. All right, Alex, thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
Will, we probably got time to get into some mail. Our Buckethead episode. Actually, before we get to Buckethead, this is Donut King related. This is from Scott. Subject is long live the king. He says, hey, if you guys are really missing the king or the king is not near you, simply take the cinnamon donuts from Woolies, put them in an air fryer, because I know you have one, at 185 degrees for 3 minutes. And it's the closest you'll get outside the king's food court. P.S. I am not a vinter or a medical professional. What is a vinter?
Doctor, probably, but corrective.
Huh?
Oh,
Vinter.
a person who makes vines? Wine?
Oh, right.
Is that what a vinter is?
Yeah, maybe. Correct.
Yeah.
Well, let me type that in. Are you doing that?
No, but
Vinter.
I don't.
A vinter. Oh, no.
How do you spell it?
Vinter.
A vinter? Vinter?
Yeah. Doesn't anything come up? Is it just did he mistype?
Yeah, I reckon maybe.
Okay. Well, we got excited for a second there. We thought we were going to get some new information.
Felt good, but no. Like I'm getting a lot of crypto messages. or it's a independent label based in Oslo, Norway, Vinter Records.
Maybe. Do you think it's related to Elias?
I'm
not a Vinter.
No, anyway.
Okay, yeah, our Buckethead episode. This is from Millsy, who says, hey, did you guys see the video of Buckethead? There's a guy in the crowd giving Buckethead another bucket, and he puts it on and wears it for the whole show. Apparently, it was a 2-bucket evening. I have not seen that video, and you did not provide a link. Yeah, Buckethead, that was an interesting response to that, because I feel like we were so surprised by the 420 studio albums, but there was a lot of people who are, what would you call them? But if you're a Buckethead fan, I can't say you're a Buckethead because he's already got that. What are you? You're a Bucky.
You're a Buckethead head.
Bucket. There's a lot of Buckethead heads out there. I was really surprised. Headheads. Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah.
Headheads.
I'm a headhead.
I'm a headhead.
You had headhead? Like, because they got the Grateful Dead have the deadheads, right?
Yeah.
So Buckethead would have the headheads.
The headheads. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like even Girl, the guys who do the theme for our show, they commented on the post saying, yeah, Buckethead's awesome. He's like one of the best guitarists going around. So I feel like, who was that other person that we it was like when we did that deep dive on Vanilla Ice and we found out that like he came second in the world champion for water skiing. Like
water
rapping
skiing
was like quite low on his list of kind of achievements.
Just one of the things he did. Yeah. Vanilla Ice has been living his life like it's a bucket list while we've all been mocking him, and he's just like, I did all these things. Yeah, me and Buckethead are having a great time. It'd be great if Vanilla Ice revealed himself to be Buckethead. I've also been Buckethead for 400 albums.
The other thing that sort of caught fire amongst our listeners was crisps. How many syllables in the word crisps?
Crisps.
Tim decided to respond in limerick form.
Okay, great.
Hey, Charlie. Hey, Will. I am writing to use to expend mental energy and give you my views on a few little points, a few of my lists. I hope you'll accept them as nice little gifts. The first one, and maybe you'll see where I'm going, is all about pronunciation and knowing just how it might be that us poor English users appear to be more often language abusers. To the point, it is crisps that I want to explore. Fuck, even saying that, I knew the word was coming and I got really self-conscious. To the point, it is crisps that I want to explore, not with lisps, it theoretically makes my tongue thaw. Anywho, grammatical rules, they aren't lying. Crisps is monosyllabic, no denying. However, it's quite intriguing to ponder that if you were raised in Japan, over yonder, 5 syllables, that is without a stutter, Kurisupisu is what you would utter. So crisps in Japanese would be kurisupusu.
Yeah.
Kurisupusu is what you would utter. Two other points that I wanted to say is use rock and vote yes on referendum day. Oh, I had to make it bloody political, didn't you, Tim? I think it'll flow better when you break up the word like that. Thank you, and thank you, Tim. But Tim wasn't the only one who had something to say about crisps.
Hang on, just Ramona wants to get up on the couch.
To go outside. Is she trying to say crisps?
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Chattanooga River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home.
This is a bit of a cheat because normally what I do is we save our Patreon messages for Patreon bonus episodes, but this was important, so I figure we'll put it into the regular feed. This is from Heidi. Hi, Wil and Charlie. I'm a new listener to the pod. I discovered this rabbit hole after listening to Will's audiobook late last year, which I thoroughly enjoyed. On the question of the number of syllables in the word crisps, I've not laughed so much in ages listening to two grown men desperately trying to say the word crisps. Anyway, my 7-year-old has been learning about syllables at schools, and their trick is to put your hand under your chin as you say the word. Your chin goes down with each syllable. So crisps.
Crisps.
My chin doesn't feel like it's moving at all. Crisps. Crisps. Is your chin moving? Hang on.
I've got to say something that I know has more than one syllable.
Yeah, well, she's got an example there as well. Yeah. So your chin goes down with each syllable. Chris has one. Yeah. All the sps sound at the end is a soft consonant inside the mouth with no chin moves. Compare it with banana.
Banana. Oh, yeah, okay. There you go. Banana.
Banana. 3 moves. Crisps.
Yeah, banana.
Yeah, so there's no movement.
Banana.
That's not like a motorbike starting.
Yeah, crisps. Yeah, you're right.
So it doesn't move at all. Charlie. Will. So you're monosyllabic.
By the way, can I just say if people are watching the video of this has been a great episode for Patreon. Go to patreon.com/TOFOP. You can watch the videos of these episodes because firstly, there was a lot of visual content in this episode from the Donut King. So a perfect one to jump on board, all ad-free episodes. So many good things on the Patreon page. But the two of us, I was led by you, I will say, and I was slightly distracted by the fact that I put Ramona up on the couch, and while I was doing that, I've left my glasses somewhere and now I can barely see the screen. So when you were telling me that we had to put our hands under our chins, you had decided to go with
the palm,
the weirdest, the palm, but then your arm in a way that was wouldn't really fit on your face to do this thing. Whereas we settled very quickly on a much better version, which was just to put your fingers gently under your chin.
Yeah, like a kid trying to be cute. Folding your hands.
But that first one you went with, you were like a old statue or something.
Let's finish up on this. Is from John. This could be a good bit of fun. This is from John talking about Point Break sequels. Hey, if the Fast and the Furious remake is the Fast and the Furious is a remake of Point Break and spawned 10 sequels, what would the adventures of Johnny Utah and Bodie Zephyr have been? I never knew Bodie's surname was Zephyr, but that makes complete sense because there's Zephyr surfboards. How many movies would there be to the surfing in space? Okay, so I think maybe the best thing to do is to bring up the Fast and the Furious films, right? And then we can sort of we can adapt it to Point Break.
Okay.
All right, so...
that sounds like a good idea. By the way, John Wick 4 was going to be my first time to go back to the cinemas. I did not make it back to the cinemas. I haven't been back to the cinemas yet, but I did sit at home the other night and watch John Wick 4 on the television. And
did you like it?
I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been. No, I loved it.
All right.
I don't think I've ever seen 4 movies in a franchise that I've liked as consistently as those 4. I don't think that there's I can't think of anything else that's had 4. Like, I mean, there's different ones that I like more or less than other ones for whatever reasons, but I like all 4 of those movies a lot. Like, I think they're all really good in their own way, which I can't think of another series where I've ever, like, there's been 4 movies that I've, can you think of something? Like, what would be?
No. Well, maybe not. I mean, I don't know if I'd put John Wick. Look, I like the John Wick
You
films,
don't have to,
but
I'm saying that, but I'm just saying, can you think of 4, like, what would be the contender? If my premise is I've liked all 4 John Wick films,
what would be the closest one for me? Probably
closest?
Rocky. I would say that Rocky 1 through 4. As a kid,
okay.
I loved.
Yep.
Was probably more excited about Rocky 4 than I was even Rocky 3. Like, I think Rocky 4, I was at the right age too. Sort of, that was like, 1985 or whenever it came out. Back to the Future only made 3 films. Can't think of many that have gone. Maybe like Nightmare on Elm Street in a weird way. I like the Nightmare on Elm Street film. I like all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, but yeah, I don't know. I can't think of one in recent memory, that's for sure.
No, I mean, like, and
universes. Particularly because the formula is so similar too. It's the same film each time.
Well, it kind of is and it kind of isn't, which I think is the trick. Like, that it essentially is, but then, of course, it's always different enough that it's interesting. And anyway, I really like them. And
all right.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry that I was distracted by that, but I was like, it was just one of those things where I was like, is my favorite movie franchise the John Wick franchise? And I believe it is. I think it's my Fast and Furious.
I do enjoy them. I just have trouble separating what happens. I mean, the first film is obviously more distinct, but the second and third one, I get a bit confused about what's going on. And like, I know he's slowly getting excommunicated from this secret society.
He's excommunicado, man, from the secret society where they...
the second one
everyone's an assassin.
The second one he goes to Europe, right? And there's a lady, but I can't remember what the overarching storyline is. I know
the majority of this last one is like, I mean, the truth of it is that and again, this gives away nothing from the final movie if people haven't seen it. The majority of it's in France, in Paris. This final one, it certainly becomes more international in scope, and the premise of the movies have always been. He's an ex-assassin who doesn't want to be an assassin anymore, but now he's an assassin because they stole his car and killed his dog, and now he's on a mission to kill everyone in the entire world, is basically like the premise of these films. Also, everyone's an assassin. It's okay. He's only ever killing other assassins, and luckily 95% of any given population at any time are assassins. The law and the complications of the world in which he lives, I think they do a very good job in the final a movie, well, in this the fourth movie, if it is the final movie, to give
it's
you
not it's not. There's no way. It's made so much money. There's no way it's going to be the last film. And he seems to enjoy making them. It's so interesting, isn't it? That he's seems like such a gentle, lovely guy who just excels at portraying like killing machines.
I think that he and Liam Neeson have found very productive and positive ways to channel They both have had serious, terrible things tragedies happen in their life, and I feel like they get it out of their system by delivering headshots to people on film over and over and over again.
But Keanu Reeves is genuinely good at stunts. I've seen all the behind the scenes footage and training, and he doesn't have that kind of physique of an action star. It's not like he's got a six pack, or he's just got a normal dad bod. But then, you see him doing jujitsu and throwing guys, and he's really good with guns and shit like that. It's such a strange.
There's so much of this that they couldn't trick up,
right?
Where you can tell. I mean, there's obviously other places where, but this is because also the stunts in this, this is the whole part of these things, right? In this final film, the kind of main guy he goes up against is blind, so it's that thing of he's a blind martial artist, the super assassin blind martial artist. These stunts, there's a set of stairs, again, none of this gives anything away from the movie. There's a set of stairs that are very pivotal to the journey to one of the final things. And John Wick keeps getting knocked down these stairs, like, and the stunts, like, clearly it's not him going down these stairs because it's literally a stunt man rolling down like flight after flight, like kind of like, you know, that from The Princess Bride, you know, where they're like going down. It's like a version of down these hard stairs, and you're like, someone did that. Like, there's no way that isn't a professional stuntman like rolling down. Like, I mean, I guess they're padded and there's ways to do it and blah blah blah, but
they're still having to do it. Yeah.
To watch it, you're like, this is incredible because like there's just and slightly comical. It is both incredible and slightly comical.
And did you see this at the movies? You said, or is this on?
No,
it's on
at
streaming
home.
now.
It's on.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
It's good,
all right, let's do this quick side-by-side comparison. So we know the Fast and the Furious and Point Break, so they follow the same. So in the second Fast and the Furious, which is Too Fast, Too Furious, there was no Dom. Brian Connor is on the run from law enforcement and gets from LA to Miami. Okay,
so no Bodie. This is great. He's gone out to the ocean. He's supposedly dead. Yeah, great. And he's not in the second one.
And so, and then Johnny Utah would be on the run from the FBI, and he's hanging out with other surf gangs.
And he's exactly.
Okay. Then there's hang on, wait a minute.
What do we call it? 2.2 break?
What the fuck is this? There's all this weird kind of. They've brought in all these. Los Banderos, the second. There's short films in the Fast and Furious. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's skip. The short films don't count. Okay. So then there's Fast and Furious, which is not to be confused.
Point and break. I feel like the naming format should be exactly the same. So it's like point and then it's 2.2 break, and then it's point and break.
Point break. Point dot break. It's a sequel to Fast 1 set 5 years later with Dom and Brian teaming up once again. Yep. Okay, so Bodie and Johnny Utah.
Bodie's back, baby.
To take down a drug lord, they can easily do that.
Great.
Dom is arrested and
that
sentenced.
makes sense though, right? Like he's been on the run, like, you know, Bodie, the only person who can catch the thief is the greatest, you know, thief of all. Bodie's back, baby.
Yeah, there's another bank robber who's also like a drug dealer.
Totally.
Got to bring back the best bank robber. Okay, Fast 5.
Point break 5
is when
point 5. Point 5. Break 5. Point 5.
Point 5. Hang 10. No. We know what we're going to call the 10th film, though, don't we? Fast 5. Point 05. Don't be a bloody idiot. We call it bloody idiot. So can Dwayne Johnson come in this, or do we have to have a Dwayne Johnson like facsimile? Because this is where Hobbs is introduced, and they go to Rio de Janeiro.
I mean, but it can't be Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Like,
the actor.
I mean, it could be. Actually, it could be. You know what?
Is there a
because he could be some big
it can't because it would think about it. Point Break came out in 92, so it would have had to be in the 90s equivalent. So it'd have to be like an Arnie or a who was Arnie still.
But it feels like it needs to be like that's too outside the universe. Oh no, Gary Busey was in that film, wasn't he? So, like, I guess that's not too big. Yeah,
so
okay.
Let's bring in Arnie.
Yeah, to bring it but probably not. I mean, I guess The Rock was like one of the biggest stars in the world.
No. I read this article where the Fast and the Furious is what franked his credits as like a movie star.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has to up and comer from the 90s who was a muscle man kind of.
Is it like a Jean-Claude Van Damme or someone?
Yeah, let's say someone from the Expendables. Dolph Lundgren or Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, great. Furious 6, Dom and his crew are on the lam. Okay, so that's fine. So we can have Johnny Utah and Bodie on the lam. Hobbs, meanwhile, is looking to take down a mercenary group led by Luke Evans, Owen Shaw. So Hobbs.
Oh, yeah. This is your Hobbs and Shaw. This is where you Statham.
That comes in. No, Statham comes in.
Yeah, but this is but what I'm saying, this is the
setup for
the setup for that. This is the characters, right?
Okay. Well, let's bring in an English. Let's bring in Tim Roth. Perfect. Okay. Tim Roth can be the Luke Evans, Owen Shaw character. Okay. Then so this would have happened earlier, but in chronologically, the Tokyo Drift. So they go to Japan. Surfing's huge in Japan.
Yep.
There's some international competition. They go undercover under the guise of entering this surf competition, but they're going to steal something. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's a $62 million haul. Easy. Furious 7. This is where Statham comes into it. So who was the 90s Statham? Tim Roth's brother. Who was 90s Statham? Billy Idol. I'm just trying to think of a guy who talks like that. 90s Statham.
Even by then, Billy Idol wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
He would have been
over the hill.
No, maybe not. But anyway, Statham's a bit more like he talks the same, but we need someone who's a bit more like Statham's ex-diver turned action star, right? Like, I mean, it's a little bit more lithe.
Yeah, we need someone who's a British star from the 90s. I just can't think of one famous actor. Ewan McGregor, too young. Like, I'm just thinking of like what films came out in the 90s that had. Who can we recast? I mean, having said that, like Guy Ritchie films probably came out around about the time they would have been making this film. So we could probably cast Jason Statham, like the actual Jason Statham, because, was a barrels and a Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels would have come out in 96. So this film is the 7th in the franchise from 92. So I reckon we can cast. Let's just cast Jason Statham. Make it easy for us.
All right, fine.
All right, The Fate of the Furious. This is where Charlize Theron enters. It says Russell Crowe. That's a misprint. That must have been Kurt Russell. Orders restored. The film's stacked cast includes Charlize Theron, Kurt Russell, Scott Eastwood, Helen Mirren, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez-Torres. So this is where Jason Statham, Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham team up. So who did we say was Dwayne Johnson?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Jason Statham team up for real. Then they get their spin-off, Hobbs and Shaw, which is, whatever we're going to call those two characters. Fast 9. Dom and is this the one where they go to, they jump the car out of the building in Dubai?
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm getting really tired. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I can't think of
this is enough. This is too many Point Break sequels. Thank you. And then Hang Ten. We're done.
Okay, it's TOFOP for this week. I'm Charlie Clausen.
Wil Anderson.
How long? Not long. Everyone relax.
Listener.